I'm Linda Bartis. I'm the co-author of the new One Block Wonder book, along with Maxine Rosenthal, who's written 3 books before on this particular process. This book has 40 quilts in it. It has 28 contributors from a Facebook group that I began about 4 years ago when I couldn't find one. Today even, we've reached 10,000 people, and we're having what is called a virtual quilt show, which means that people post quilts one right after the other. So we have this wonderful quilt show. And basically what this book is, it's a real quilt show because we have quilts from, as I said, 28 different people, all from the Facebook group. You'll see the original fabrics in them, and you'll see the quilts. It's focused on design. Look at some of these pictures. Aren't they amazing? And these people take a fabric, one fabric. This is the fabric that comes from this particular quilt. It's called Petals on a Pond, and it started with this fabric. Isn't that amazing? One fabric, one quilt, and whatever borders you want to add. But this is a process. It is not a pattern, which means that it's open to interpretation and creativity, so that 10 people can take the same fabric and you're going to end up with 10 different stories, as I call it. I said that this one is Petals on a Pond. Somebody else would change all these hexagons around. They may add a little bit of something else here and there, which still makes it a one-block wonder. So how is it open to creativity? There are certain steps in the process. The first one is the fabric. And the fabric you choose, each one will turn out very differently. I showed you the one that I used on the quilt here. Here's another fabric. You better like oranges and yellows if you do this one. But you're looking with something with a repeat that if you can find a 24-inch repeat, those are really good. You don't want too many colors in it because then it gets busy. Although I will tell you that for every step of the process, and you say, this is the suggested thing, somebody has taken it and blown it out of the water and made liars of us. So as the process has developed over the last 10 or so years, I think one of the things that's changed more than anything is the fabric. The fabric has become colorful and beautiful, and they lend themselves really well. Here's one that made up, if it was made up, would be pretty for a little girl, and you just add all different kinds of borders around it, or not. That's entirely up to you. This one is a 12-inch repeat. But see the colors and the motion in all this? Somebody could do something absolutely fabulous with this particular fabric. The one I'm going to demonstrate the process to you today is this. It's a panel, and we're seeing more and more panels these days, and this is a very big panel. It's a 24 by the width of the fabric, about 44 inches. Some people may take just a piece out of this, and they'll put it in the middle of their quilt. They may just take this and put it in the middle of the quilt, build their hexagons, and then blend the whole thing together. Somebody else may take this just the way it is and use this as a border and put that so you have a kind of a rectangle or a square in the quilt. Again, as I said, this process is open to interpretation, which to some people can be a frustration. To other people, it is absolutely magic for them. So you can ask somebody, and there are a few people, Bruce Seeds, Jackie O'Brien, they have made over 45 of these quilts. They really focus on it. And if you ask them and other people who love this process, they will tell you it's the mystery. It's you look at a fabric and you say, what can I do with this fabric? So let me show you the basic steps. You want 6 of these because we're making hexagons today. Some people do octagons, that's 8 panels. This is 6 panels, although I didn't bring 6 panels with me, but you'll just imagine that you cut your 6 panels. You're going to layer them and find an element, so you want the same element on every single layer. So once you've done that, then you're going to cut strips. So here are 2 strips that I have cut out of that panel. There is a 3 3/4 inch is the standard, and for years that's about all people did. Well, now people are using little tiny ones. I don't have the patience for that, but you can use bigger ones. You can cut it. Look at your elements in the fabric. That will help you decide how big you want it. These I kept as the standard. So there's 6 layers. Use a good sharp or new rotary blade. That's a key to accuracy, because accuracy in cutting makes a huge difference when you put this quilt all together. So here's this one, and as you can see, I have cut 60-degree triangles off it. This is the first one I started out with, this little ruler. It's got a 60-degree triangle. Then I was given one of these triangles, this just like this. I find I'm much more accurate with my triangles by using one, and you want to point on it if you're going out to buy a triangle, and you cut your triangles. And as I said, accuracy doesn't mean you're going to have a bad quilt. It just means you'll have to fussy with it just a little bit more as you go along. So you want to be able to cut them as accurate. New blade, sharp blade, number 1. So once you've got these, you got 6 triangles on here, and then you're going to, see, this is the one I want. You're going to sew these triangles together like this, and then you'll have 3 here, and you're going to sew this half together and this half together, and then you'll pin them together, because this is how you're going to work with them on your design wall. So you put them up here and you put them all out. I do what I call the smack 'em up process, which means I want to see everything on the wall. Then I take it all down and I kind of sort it out into the yellows or patterns or blues. Then try to get an idea what the design I want. Do I want swirls? Do I want a diagonal? In the book, somebody has made one, and she's got a heart shape in the middle of it. You can do almost anything you want. So then you, as I said, you pin them together. You put them on the board. You move them around until you get the story that you want. It can just be balanced. I like the idea of a story. So you see something, you see a pattern, a really nice pattern, all of that, and then you put your borders on, and you have magic. You know, as I said, every step is open to interpretation. You can change the size of this. In the book, there's a quilt in here, which on a chapter which says, what do you do if you only have 5 repeats? It shows you what you can do. You add a different color triangle on here. Maybe you switch these. So the very end of the process is you've got them on the wall. Then you take your pins out, and then you sew them in strips. That's what makes it easy. People look and say, oh my God, I'm not sewing all those Y seams. But there are no Y seams unless you happen to fussy cut one. And then you cut this strip, or you sew this strip, you sew this strip, you sew all these strips, and then you sew the strips together. And you have your quilt after you've put your borders on. You know, there's an advertisement on television, and they say at the end, what's in your wallet? Well, I say to you, you know, what's in your fabric?